Hello, I pray that your Sunday was filled with spaces and places of joy, of peace, of happiness, that you found some space or time to smile. Here where I live on the East Coast, it's been dreary and drizzling and cold and rainy, but there's still opportunities. There were still opportunities to smile. Today I want to talk about going back down memory lane. I turned 67 on Saturday, and I'm very, very grateful for that. And because I really never really imagined being in my 60s. When I was young, that number just seemed so far away. It didn't even come into my scope of being. But back on topic. And so, as I was reading messages and texts and comments on social media from people giving me birthday greetings, I began to take a trip down memory lane. I began to think about how I knew some of these people. Now, some of y'all I don't know in real life, but some of you I've known for quite some time. And I began to take a trip down memory lane, and it made me think about something. So, I'm going to tell you a quick story, and then I have a question for you. So when I was working, I was running a group. It was an all men's group. It was a men's group of veterans, mostly older gentlemen. And one guy was talking about the fact that the mother of his children had recently passed, and he was going to go to the funeral with his children. And he had added that he and this first wife, their divorce was not a pleasant divorce. They actually literally kind of hated each other, and her family literally hated him, but he was still going to go to the funeral to support their children, who are now grown, and his grandchildren. And so we gave him support and all the encouragement and things like that. So when he came back from the funeral, one of the things that he shared, was that he was a little surprised because even though their relationship over the years had not been that well, it had been really antagonistic, he didn't realize how it was going to hit him. That, he began to think about when they were young, when they were in love, when they came together and married, and they both were kind of like starry-eyed young people, and love was in the air. Some of you all know what I'm talking about. And they had their children together, and then life came in and did what it did. But he was surprised that those memories came rushing in, and they came rushing in hard. And he kind of gave himself permission to talk about that. And that's kind of the question that I want to ask you all. It's a question about first loves, or memories about first loves. I was looking over the lyrics of the song The Way They Were, and Barbara Streisand put it out first, and then Gladys Knight to me did a more soulful version. But no matter who did the version, here go my glasses so I can see. It says, "Oh, can it be that it was oh so simple then, or has time rewritten every line? And if we had the chance to do it all again, tell me, would we? Could we? Memories may be beautiful, and yet what's too painful to remember, we simply choose to forget. So it's the laughter that we'll remember whenever we remember the way we were." And my question to you is, do you ever give yourself permission to take a trip down memory lane? And I'm not talking about doing something toxic or, stalking or trying to find that person, but do you ever give yourself permission to take a trip down memory lane? To maybe possibly take a trip down and give yourself a smile when you remember the good times, and maybe even pat yourself on the back when you remember how much you've grown. If it resulted in a bad time. Do you ever give yourself permission to take a trip back and remember when you were younger, when you were more carefree, before life did whatever it is that it does to us, when we have to start adulting? And as they say now, adulting is hard. Because for many folk, the first loves happened when we were fresh, when we were just finding out what this thing is about. So that's my question to you. Do you ever give yourself permission to take a trip down memory lane? And if you say no, I would encourage you to do so. Because, they say a broke clock is write at least twice a day. You know, even if it was the worst relationship in the world, there were some parts in the beginning that made you smile. Otherwise, why were you there? There were some parts in the beginning that made your stomach flutter. There were some parts in the beginning that made you feel seen. And so, you know, I don't know if I'm stirring something up for anybody. Maybe you can go and play Gladys Knight's version of The Way We Were. I don't know. But if you like, I invite you to put comments, to tell me your story in the comments or inbox me, because I really want to know. Do you give yourself permission to take a trip down memory lane? Love you all. Bye-bye.